Good morning. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm ready. We're going to wait for Ann actually, so we don't unmute us yet. But Karen's ready. Stream started.
We're live right now. Just see.
Is he going to say anything?
Mr. Gilman, you ready to go, sir?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sherman, you ready to go?
So that was not an English.
Hey, I'm official now, Jay.
Yeah. Got me a couple tickets.
Hey, Jay.
Good morning, Ann.
How are you?
It's wonderful. It's like the old days.
Yeah. It is like the old days.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Jerry say we miss you.
Aw. That's always fun. Better than, why do we have you there? Okay. I'm watching.
It's not a trial.
Good morning, everyone.
Man,
Just a reminder before we get started, if you can silence your mobile devices, please. All right. We're set to go, Dory? Great, thank you. All right. Okay, today is April 15th, 2025. There's a quorum present. It is 10:03 p.m. a.m. Jeez, sorry about that. We are ready to call this meeting to order. We are. If you can all join me, excuse me, I am not ready.
Wait, you're
Take
testing
two.
me. Okay.
Yeah, let's start over. So we're going to call this meeting to order. On to item number 2, which is to convene as the Storey County Board of County Commissioners, bringing us to item number 3, which is the Pledge of Allegiance, which I would all love you to join.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On to item number 4, this is public comment. Public comment is welcome at the beginning and end of each meeting. These comments should be limited to matters not on today's calendar or agenda. Public comment is again welcomed after each item on the agenda, and those comments should be limited to the agendized topic. As a reminder, public comment is limited to 3 minutes per individual. With that, is there any public comment in the courtroom today? All right, not seeing any, we're going to move right along to item number 5, which is discussion for possible action. Consideration and possible approval of the agenda for the April 15th, 2025 meeting. Commissioner Gilman, questions or comments about the agenda today?
None, thank you.
All right, Vice Chairman?
I'm good.
Okay, is there any public comment regarding the agenda and the items contained within? Not seeing any, Vice Chairman, you prepared to make a motion?
I move to approve today's agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. On to item number 6, which is discussion for possible action. Discussion and possible approval of the minutes from the March 18th, 2025 meeting. Commissioner Gilman, do you have any questions or comments about those minutes, sir?
I do not.
All right, Vice Chairman.
No, thank you.
All right, how about public comment? Not seeing any. Vice Chairman, you prepared to make a motion?
I move to approve the minutes of our March 18th, 2025 meeting as presented.
I'll second.
Great. Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. On to today's consent agenda. Commissioner Gilman, questions or comments on the consent agenda?
None, thank you.
Vice Chairman.
No, thank you.
All right, is there any public comment regarding today's consent agenda? Not seeing any. Vice Chairman, you prepared to make a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve today's consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. On to item number 8. This is discussion only, no action, no public comment. These are committee and staff reports, and we will kick things off at the Sheriff's Office today.
Nothing today, thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. How about the Fire Protection District?
Nothing today, thank you.
Okey-dokes. How about Public Works?
Nothing today, thank you.
Okay. Operations and Projects Coordinator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike Northen, Operations Projects Coordinator. I'll keep it brief today. Lockwood Senior Center working on the retaining wall, and the front drive canopy is being erected. Project is currently on schedule. I do have a related agenda item coming up. TRI restroom remodel plans are at 100%. Staff is reviewing them and preparing bid documents. The EM office electrical upgrades, we are currently working on scheduling that work. BC Jail, the RFQ for design services should be published this week. Station 71, the RFQ for design was published last week. We have 7 respondents so far. Site improvements at 800 South C Street. Work is ready to proceed. We're working on scheduling a start date, coordinate with Justice Court, IT, and Divide Fitness. And the traffic signal at Electrica Milan, those bid documents are being prepared, and we should be out to bid in the next couple of weeks. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions, sirs.
Thank you, Mike. Commissioner Gilman, do you have any questions or comments for Mike?
None, thank you, Mike.
Vice Chairman?
No questions. Thanks for keeping things moving.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Moving right along to our Business Development Director. All right. How about our Planning Department?
Nothing today, thanks.
Okay, how about our Admin Officer?
No one today.
Emergency Management? BCTC? Comptroller's Office? Nothing. Health and Community Services?
Nothing today, thank you.
Is this a joke?
Now, that would have been last meeting.
Yeah.
All agreed. The Recorder's Office?
Nothing today.
Human Resources?
Nothing today.
Community Development? Come on. How about our PR Officer? Nothing today. Yeah. The DA's Office?
Nothing
Nothing
today.
County Manager's Office?
I would try, but no, I'm okay, thank you.
Clerk Treasurer?
Nothing today.
We'll be out of here by 11. All right, well, thank you, everybody, for those reports. Very entertaining. We will move right along to board comment. I'll start off to my left, Commissioner Gilman.
You know, none, thank you.
Vice Chairman.
There's too much pressure. Even if I had something, I wouldn't say it. Nothing.
All right, well, I appreciate everybody's great mood today. I'm going to take us on a hard right turn. Do want to announce that Pat Seymour, a longtime BC resident, has passed away. So if we can all take a moment of silence for Pat and her family and friends, for their family and friends, who greatly appreciate it. Thank you. All right, on to item number 10. This is discussion for possible action. Consideration and possible approval for special use permit 2025-022. The applicant requests a special use permit to construct a solar field, which is defined as an electric generating plant by Storey County Code. The electricity generated will be used on-site and on adjacent properties owned by the applicant. Property is located within the Tahoe Industrial Center at 875 Innovation Way, McCarran, Storey County, Nevada. APN number 005-012-61. Kathy?
Yes, thank you. So, yay, I get to go first today. So, this is a special use permit for the solar field at a property that is owned by the Redwood Battery and Materials. Previously, they've started on the work on the solar field. It was an accessory use to the data center that they were building on the site. Since that time, they've decided they would like to use the energy that's generated by the solar field on some of their other properties. And by doing that, that changes what the land use is for the property. And so that the energy generating portion of the land use requires the special use permit. So what this is really doing is allowing the energy that's generated for them to be able to use that on other properties. This was heard at our planning commission on April 3rd. There weren't any comments or a real in-depth discussion on this, and the staff, our planning commission recommended, along with staff, recommended approval. We didn't receive any comments from anybody in the public noticing. I did have yesterday somebody call and ask for a copy of the staff report, but they didn't have any comments on anything, so. And staff is recommending approval also. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Kathy. Commissioner Gilman, do you have any questions or comments about this item?
No, thank you.
All right, Vice Chairman?
Kathy, my only question was, I was a little surprised to realize there was a data center going in on this property. Do we know if that's for their own use or for its?
I believe it's their own
co-location?
use,
Okay.
yes.
Great,
And
thank
it's kind of a modular piece that they were putting together. So I don't think if they change their minds in the future, it'd be that hard to reuse the land.
Very good, thank you.
All right, not seeing any questions from the board. Is there any public comment today? Not seeing any. Kathy, are there findings on this?
Yes.
Would you like to read those for us, please?
So the finding of fact for a motion for approval. This approval is for special use permit 2025-022 to construct a solar field which is defined as an electric generating plant by Storey County Code. Electricity generated will be used on site and on adjacent properties owned by the applicant. Property is located within the Tahoe-Reno Industrial Center at 875 Innovation Way, McCarran, Storey County, Nevada. Assessor's parcel number APN 005-012-61. The special use permit conforms to the 2024 Storey County Master Plan for the McCarran planning area in which the subject property is located. A discussion supporting this finding for the special use permit is provided in section 2.d of the staff report, and the contents thereof are cited in an approval of the special use permit. The proposal location, size, height, operations, and other significant features will be compatible with and will not cause substantial negative impact on adjacent land uses or will perform a function or provide a service that is essential to the surrounding land uses, community, and neighborhood. The special use permit is not expected to result in substantial or undue adverse effects on adjacent property, the character of the neighborhood, traffic conditions, parking, public improvements, public sites or right-of-way, or other matters affecting the public health, safety, and general welfare, either as they now exist or as they may in the future be developed as a result of the implementation of the provisions and policies of the county master plan. This title and any other plans, program, map, or ordinance adopted or under consideration pursuant to an official notice by the county or other governmental agency having jurisdiction to guide growth and development. Proposed use in the proposed area will be adequately served by and will impose no undue burden on any of the improvements, facilities, utilities, or services provided by the county or other governmental agency having jurisdiction in the county. The special use permit with the recommended conditions of approval complies with the requirements of the 1999 Storey County Zoning Code, Chapter 17.62 Special Uses and 17.37 Heavy Industrial Zone. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Vice Chairman, are you prepared to make a motion?
I am. In accordance with the recommendation by the Planning Commission and staff, the findings of fact under Section 3A of this report, as read into the record by county staff, and other findings deemed appropriate by the Board of County Commissioners and in compliance with the conditions of approval, I, Commissioner Mitchell, move to approve Special Use Permit 2025-022 to construct a solar field which is defined as an electric generating plant by Storey County Code. The electricity generated will be used on-site and on adjacent properties owned by the applicant. The property is located within the Tahoe-Reno Industrial Center at 875 Innovation Way, McCarran, Storey County, Nevada. Assessor's parcel number 005-012-61.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Kathy. On to item number 11, this discussion for possible action. Consideration and possible approval to execute the Nevada Agreement on Allocation of Opioid Recoveries, Amendment 2 between Storey County and the State of Nevada, which amends Section B, Paragraph 3 regarding the receipt, division, and allocation of recoveries. Lisa?
Good morning, Lisa Massell, Storey County Administration Officer for the record. So this is an amendment for the Nevada Agreement on Allocation of Opioid Recoveries. Mark Kruger, who's also on Zoom with the Nevada Attorney General's Office, had contacted us because this amendment had not been signed by Storey County, and it was due with an effective date of June 15th, 2022. So we are bringing it here to have it executed, and any specific questions can be directed to Mark.
Great, thank you. Thanks for being here, Mark. Commissioner Gilman, questions or comments?
None, thank you.
Vice Chairman?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Is there any public comment? Vice Chairman, you prepared to make a motion?
Yeah, I, Commissioner Mitchell, move to approve the execution of Amendment Number 2 to the One Nevada Agreement on allocations of opioid recoveries.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 12, this discussion for possible action. Discussion and possible consideration approving the 2025 through 26 Storey County Employee Health Benefits Plan renewal, including options for a base high deductible health plan and a health savings account, optional employee buy-up plans with base dental, vision, and life insurance plans. Brandy.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brandy Lopez for the record. As you know, we recently completed our insurance renewal process. During that time, we went out to bid for insurance rates and presented the findings to our employees, retirees, and the board. Following that review, we were requested by Commissioner Carmona to go explore additional plan options for our employees. We reached back out to our incredible team at LP Insurance. They were able to provide a new proposal from Anthem that includes more competitive rates for your consideration today. I hope you've had time to review the updated information that we provided, and we have Kevin here to answer any questions about the plan, the different plans.
Great. Thank you, Brandy. Kevin, before I ask the board, is there anything you wanted to say before we jump
No,
into
I think
questions?
Brandy, Kevin Monahan, LP Insurance for the record. I think Brandy did a good job providing an overview. I'm happy to get into any specifics whatsoever around the proposal
Thank you.
and the information presented.
Commissioner Gilman, do you have any questions at this time?
Curious why the change or the thought process behind it, if you'd share that with me?
Yeah, you know, I have to apologize to everybody on staff and the team at LP. Sometimes my better ideas come late, but that's better than never. You know, we've talked constantly about what we can do to entice employees or help keep employees. And this was an option that was presented at this time, you know, and wanted to take advantage of it before we closed up the process for the year. So I apologize again to everybody that I didn't think of this earlier, but I think it all benefits everybody on the staff, so I can't see anybody having heartache with it, but
Sure.
that was it.
Thank you.
Yep. Vice Chairman? Questions, comments?
Yeah, I actually had a similar thought process. I was just gonna wait till next year to bring it up. So I'm glad you did. My first question just has to do with, you know, what's presented here is we have kind of current and renewal, and then we have an option, it looks like. And I'm trying to understand if we go with option 1, are we reducing to just 2 different plan choices? Help me understand kind of the layout between if we stay with what we had previously decided on versus if we go with the new one.
Yeah, so that's correct. This would be taking the offering down from 3 plans to 2. Currently, there's 2 high deductible health plan options. One which is a little bit lower benefit, referred to as the base plan, and then employees have the option to buy a richer or higher level benefit high deductible plan, and the option to also buy a non-high deductible plan that's also richer in benefit. And the new high deductible plan is a higher level of benefits than the 2 existing. So I think in line with Commissioner Carmona's goal of trying to increase the package, it's better from that standpoint.
Very good. And as I'm looking at it, it looks like the notable increases are, you've got the 0 deductible, which was like our first buy-up plan. But the overall, both out-of-pocket maximums and deductibles are lower than they were before. Are there any other significant changes as far as that versus either the old base plan or the first buy-up?
No, in the high deductible plan, that's correct. You have a lower deductible, lower out-of-pocket, and then there's no co-insurance once that deductible is met.
Very good. Thank you. Those are my questions. I'm good.
All right, is there any public comment? Not seeing any. Vice Chairman, are you prepared to make a motion at this time?
I am. I'm sorry, give me just a second.
Sure. A good commute up here, Kevin?
Beach Keg, beautiful drive, yeah.
Yes. Yep, nice weather out
Nice
there.
spring day, yeah.
Better than not going to
So I'm not sure if the recommended motion captures specifically what we're doing here. I'm wondering if I need to come up with something on my own. It just seems fairly general and it references, is it specific enough, I guess, is my question. Because at this point, we had already approved a renewal.
It's not expressing which one, I understand what you're saying.
And this is,
Expressing which option he's picking.
yeah, this is, we're presented now with an option one, and I feel like maybe we should reference that in the motion.
Right. I think,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay,
Approve the 2025 Storey County Option 1 Employee Health and Benefits Plan.
as presented in the presentation, something like that.
Yeah.
Right, but include all that language, because I think the legal part of it that's very important is the high deductible health plan, the way the changes to it also satisfy the requirements that we still have the health savings account benefits, and that's a big deal. So it's the option one.
So
I would just say that we were going to approve 2025, 2026 Storey County Option 1 Health, Employee Health Benefits Plan Renewal, and then state the rest of it.
Right.
Just add the option
Okay.
1 in there.
Yep.
very good.
Okay.
So I, Commissioner Mitchell, move to approve the 2025-2026 Storey County Employee Health Benefits Plan Renewal, including options for base high deductible health plan, HDHP, and health savings account, or HSA, optional employee buyout plans, and base dental, vision, and life insurance plans, specifically option one as presented today.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy, Jennifer, Kevin, again, the team at LP. Appreciate you guys getting this knocked out. Thank you. All right, moving right along to item number 13 is discussion for possible action, review and possible approval of the 2025 through 26 Storey County tentative budget for submission to the Nevada Department of Taxation.
Good morning, Jennifer McCain, Storey County Comptroller for the record. Don't worry, this won't be as long as last week. I'm here to just present to you the changes between last week and this week that have come about in the tentative budget. The tentative budgets as presented are with the Clerk Treasurer Jim Hendel that will need all of your signatures on 2 copies each before you leave today, please. So with that, the general fund, I have input the official Nevada taxation pro forma and their final revenue projections. This gave us an increase of approximately $1.9 million in revenue. Expenses had an increase of approximately $1.6 million, and while most of these changes are insignificant, I feel that there are several that are worth mentioning on various departments. 101 in the Commissioner's budget, we had some decreases in training, travel, computers, and software, while we had increases in professional services, adding an engineer, a contract engineer, and the support for the cemetery. All of these total an increase of approximately $200,000. The Clerk's Treasurer's Office has an increase in election equipment for a ballot marking device for $35,000. HR has increases in wages and benefits for a possible reclass, and then some updates to the retiree insurance for what was solidified in the previous meeting, not the previous item. In buildings and grounds, we have increases in some specific building maintenance items. One is a remodeling of a bathroom at Station 74 and exterior painting at Tri-Complex. This totals $120,000. The sheriff's office has had some significant changes within wages and benefits. He's removed a few positions, which include an assistant sheriff position, an evidence clerk, and a part-time deputy. He has requested to add 1 jail sergeant, 2 jail specialists, which would be civilian positions and more or less of an admin support position for the jail, a part-time radio tech, and the pretrial deputy that was discussed in length at the last meeting. All of these, we have wages increased by approximately $80,000. Benefits will decrease by approximately $70,000, which is a net increase of $10,000. With this, he's also requested some support for the mounted posse volunteer program at approximately $2,500. This will help with food for the animals and insurance. District Court, there's an increase. Carson City District Court has requested that we support their enhanced security down at their courthouse, with $25,000. Communications, with the elimination of the 1 assistant sheriff, the sheriff has decided that the communications department would need a manager. That involves an increase in wages and benefits of approximately $170,000. As well, we have final numbers on the 911 service system at $40,500, and they have requested backup analog radios for the consoles at $25,000. In community and health services, we have a total increase of approximately $1 million. This is for various community support projects and final items for when the Lockwood Senior Center is completed. Emergency management, as we discussed last week, they opted out of an AI software that was $52,000, so that's a decrease in Adam's budget. And for planning, we have an increase for specific items for a new position of senior planner within the planning department of approximately $11,000. This gives us a net revenue to expenses of $4.4 million, adding an additional $780,000 in transfers. 280 of that is the Piper's transfer that we discussed last week or last meeting, and an additional $500,000 to roads to help complete some drainage projects. This brings us to an overall projected ending fund balance reduction, which is $14,259,665,000. It's important to note that this budget does not include the previous item, healthcare changes. It does not include any items related to open negotiations with the AFSCME union. I still do not have a final cost for the county's liability insurance, and there are still a handful of department level staffing changes that we're waiting to finalize. So if you have any questions on the general fund, or I have a few comments on some specific special revenue funds.
Commissioner Gilman, do you have any questions so far?
I do not.
Vice Chairman?
I'm good.
Okay.
Nothing? With that, we only have a couple special revenue funds that have some changes. With the ad valorem apportionment change, the road department revenues increased approximately $500,000. Their expenses increased approximately $964,000 to ensure that we had adequate funds available for the drainage project under the new roads that will be completed in Mark Twain. This will bring their ending fund balance to $2.3 million. Equipment acquisition will also receive some extra ad valorem at approximately $500,000. We have no expense changes, and there would bring their ending fund balance to $1.7 million, which is much better than where we thought we were looking a few months ago. The capital fund, we're still working on this fund quite a bit. Revenues have gone up again because of that ad valorem apportionment. I have a few increases and decreases with some various projects that we're still trying to nail down exactly where some projects are going to be as we get to the end of the year. But the new projects include an additional evidence locker for the sheriff's office at $12,000, and we have some, what I'm being told by Mike Northern, I think this is adequate, is we've brought the metal building down in Mark Twain from approximately $3 million to 1.4. This will, all the whole plan and the capital projects fund will leave an ending fund balance of $1.7 million. I would like to note that at the next meeting, I will continue to bring further updates, but on May 20th, our budget hearing is scheduled, and that will be the final of when I will need approval to submit our budgets to taxation. So if there are any changes, updates, additions that anyone has, or questions or concerns, now is the time to speak up. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you, Jennifer. Commissioner Gilman, any questions on the final update?
None, thank you.
All right, Vice Chairman. Okay. Is there any public comment? Not seeing any. We have a motion? Yeah. Ready for that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I, Commissioner Mitchell, move to approve the 2025-2026 Storey County tentative budgets for submission to the Nevada Department of Taxation.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Jennifer. On to item number 14 is to recess to convene the Storey County Water and Sewer Board. Bring us to item number 15, which is discussion of possible action. Review and possible approval of the 25 through 26 Storey County Water and Sewer tentative budgets for submission to Nevada Department of Taxation. Jennifer?
Jennifer McCain, Storey County Comptroller for the record. After I added in the USDA payments for both the water and the sewer fund, we had a higher deficit than we would like to see in both of these funds between revenue and expenses. While these funds still have sufficient ending fund balance, I don't feel that this is a practice we want to get involved in, of using our ending fund balance to pay for our daily operating expenses, especially when we all realize the upgrades that both of these systems need for the future. I am still actively working with Jason and his team, and we're confident that by May 6th, we will have a better picture for you, but this is the budget as presented: an ending fund balance in water of $1.7 million and an ending fund balance in sewer of $1.2 million. The revenue to expenses in water is approximately $20,000 more expenses. In the sewer department, it's approximately $80,000 more expenses. So we'll be working to make some adjustments and see where we can cut this budget a little bit. Again, this budget does not include any AFSCME negotiated related items. And at the next meeting, as I stated, I'll bring you a better picture of where we're looking with this budget. And on May 20th, I will ask for your final approval. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jennifer. Commissioner Gilman, do you have any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Mr. Chairman? No. Is there any public comment? Not seeing any. Vice Chairman, you prepared to make a motion?
Yeah, I, Commissioner Mitchell, move to approve the 2025-2026 Story County Water and Sewer tentative budgets for submission to the Nevada Department of Taxation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Jennifer. On to item number 16 is to recess to convene as Story County Fire Protection District Board, bringing us to item number 17, which is discussion for possible action. Review and possible approval of the 25 through 26 Story County Fire District tentative budget for submission to the Nevada Department of Taxation. Jennifer?
Good morning, Jennifer McCain, Storey County Comptroller, Storey County Fire District Comptroller, for the record. As we came to you last week, the Fire District General Fund had extremely low ending fund balance at approximately $800,000. That was something that made both Chief Longcar and myself not so comfortable. So he sharpened his pencil a little bit and brought us some reductions and some changes within his budget. He also opted to split the ad valorem that the Fire District General Fund collects and share that with the capital fund to help try to reduce future transfers. Therefore, the capital projects fund will receive 0.05% and the general fund, fire general fund is 0.4946. With that change, the ad valorem and the revenues in the Fire District General Fund was reduced by approximately $350,000. With that, there's several expenses that were also cut or eliminated altogether for a total of approximately $500,000. He removed the finance officer, as well as he reduced fire equipment purchases of $25,900. Just making sure that's correct, because it seems like I don't. 25,900. Yep. Okay. And building maintenance was reduced by $30,000. Adverse labor was reduced by $15,000. His transfers out to capital projects was reduced by $1.5 million, and this brings us to a more comfortable projected ending fund balance of approximately $2.5 million. It is important to note that with this budget, we are in current negotiations with the fire union. They had a one opener in the last year of the union contract, and they are negotiating their pay schedule. So that is not reflected in this budget as presented. The fire capital budget had a negative ending fund balance last time we spoke. With the changes that are presented to you today, that new projected ending fund balance is $1.2 million. Chief Longcar reduces expenses by removing a striker gurney at $60,000. He reduced the fire truck costs for Station 71 from $1.2 million to $750,000. Reduced the mobile training tower $100,000 to $50,000, which may be a moot point now.
Yes.
There's a further item down. We may be able to purchase that for even cheaper this year. Removed the accounting software at $57,000 and forcible entry props at $68,000. This budget as presented is more solid and comfortable way to look at things within the fire district. Well, Chief Longcar is extremely conservative as the budget year starts to make sure that however his budget works out, that he does not overspend. So I'm extremely comfortable with where we've brought this budget. I don't anticipate too many further changes on May 6th, but May 20th, again, we will be coming to you asking for final budget approval. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Fire Commissioner Gilman, do you have any questions or comments?
None, thank you.
Fire Commissioner Mitchell? All right, how about some public comment? Not seeing any. Fire Commissioner Mitchell, you prepared to make a motion?
I am. I, Fire Commissioner Mitchell, move to approve the 2025-2026 Story County Fire District tentative budgets for submission to the Nevada Department of Taxation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you very much, and I kindly remind you to please sign the budgets before you leave today. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you. Moving on to item number 18, this is discussion of possible action. Consideration and possible approval of an updated interlocal agreement for automatic and mutual aid between Storey County Fire Protection District and the Central Lyon Fire Protection District for emergency purposes and other assistance. Chief Longcar.
Yes, good morning, Jeremy Longcar for the record. So this was an update to an existing agreement that we had with Central Lyon County Fire Protection District. The old agreement was mutual aid, which means that we would have to call, request them. It went through their duty officer, whether they approved it or not, then to their staff to respond to the areas of Mark Twain for us, and then the same for Silver City for them. So basically, we got into this old contract, changed the wording from what was mutual to now automatic. So once we receive the call, their dispatch gets it, and everyone's toned. So this kind of provides both the residents of Silver City and Mark Twain essentially double coverage, and it's just going to be a race to see who gets there first. At the end, we just want the citizens to win. So that's what this update to this agreement is providing, is just faster services and obviously more resources in our Mark Twain district. It's a good thing for us with the limited water supply and everything else. So those were the only updates made to the agreement. And as soon as this is approved, Central Lyon County is ready to put this into effect immediately.
All right, thank you, Chief. Fire Commissioner Gilman, do you have any questions or comments about this item?
None, thank you.
All right, Fire Commissioner Mitchell? All right. Is there any public comment? Not seeing any. Thank you for working this out, Chief.
Thank you.
It's been a concern and good to nail this down. Fire Commissioner Mitchell, you prepared to make a motion?
I am, and Chief, just to clarify, I came up with a question. In the past, we had automatic aid for fire incidents.
In Silver City.
In Silver City, gotcha, but not for medical. And
Correct.
now we have both in both areas. Is that where we're headed with this?
That is correct.
Very good, thank you. Great. I, Fire Commissioner Mitchell, move to authorize the fire chief to sign the updated interlocal agreement for automatic and mutual aid between the Storey County Fire Protection District and the Central Lyon County Fire Protection District.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. On to item number 19, which is discussion for possible action, consideration and possible approval of policy P508, firefighter lateral process outlining specific benefits for current certified firefighter, AEMT, and paramedics, including advanced pay step practice, preloaded leave banks, and an option for payment of up to $5,000 to cover paramedic training. Chief?
Yes, Jeremy Longcar again for the record. So what I'm presenting to you today is not something new to the fire service. Obviously, we're not getting the turnout that we used to get, in the 90s and early 2000s for applicants for, these firefighter positions. So we've all had to get really creative through the years, and which often means we have to steal from each other. So that's kind of what this policy is laying the groundwork for, is for us to try to capture paramedics who nationwide people are struggling to get. Firefighter AEMTs, not so much. As we know, the last testing we had to use the high school for because we had so many applicants. I want to remind the board that was AEMTs. That was not paramedics. Paramedics are extremely difficult to get a hold of. So we analyzed all the existing policies from some of our regional partners and put something on the low end together, so the most conservative way we could to entice people that are good medics, current firefighters, certified, to come to our organization. While there's some initial expenses up front, this does pay off because we don't have to send them to the fire academy. We don't lose them for that period of time. So within this policy, it does allow for advanced pay step to try to match with a maximum on a 7-step schedule. It'll only allow them to go up to 5, but try to match what their existing pay is. A small leave bank for just that emergency. That's a big thing for those of us who've been in the fire service for a long time. That the sick leave's your insurance policy. And as well as an option to cover if their organization paid for their paramedic training, as we do as well, We put that financial burden back on the employee until they work a period of time. So if they leave early and they still have money to pay, we will cover that expense to entice them to come to Storey County. So that kind of summarizes it, and I'll answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Chief. Fire Commissioner Gilman, do you have any questions or comments?
None, thank you.
Fire Commissioner Mitchell?
I'm good, thanks.
All right, how about any public comment? Not seeing any. Fire Commissioner Mitchell, you prepared to make a motion?
I, Fire Commissioner Mitchell, move to approve Policy P508 Firefighter Lateral Process outlining specific benefits for current certified firefighter, AEMT, and paramedics, including advanced pay step practice, preloaded leave banks, and an option for payment up to $5,000 to cover paramedic training.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. On to item number 20, this is discussion for possible action, consideration and possible approval of the promotion of 3 additional fire captains, creating 3 firefighter paramedics or firefighter AEMT vacancies to be backfilled to achieve minimum 3-person staffing at Fire Station 74 in Lockwood. Chief?
Yes, Chief Chairman Lockhart for the record. This one, you know, it's kind of funny. We get up here and we listen to Jennifer and how I'm trying to save all the money, and all my agenda items are us spending more money. However, this one I'm extremely excited about. This has been kind of a goal of mine since I've been fire chief, is to increase our staffing at all our stations. We know that 2-person staffing is the most inefficient, dangerous model out there. And that's what we had. So to provide better service to our citizens, we have deliberately set out to increase those staffing, give our communities better protection, and bring those levels up. So this is the next step. This is in the budget going for next year, but I'm presenting it to you now because there's a process to get these people on board. We do have money in the budget that would allow for this small overlap, but we can get these people on and hopefully in the station before fire season kicks off. So I wanted to get a jump start on this, get people into their positions and get them ready for this upcoming fire season. So tentatively, we're looking at testing in May. So I would estimate that we would only have a month to a month and a half of them coming out of this existing budget, which they were not budgeted for, but they are covered into the next proposed budget. So with your approval, I'd love to get this one going. I don't know if I'll be here long enough to get 72 up and going, but we're gonna try, and we'll see how the numbers work out.
All right, thank you, Chief. Fire Commissioner Gilman, questions or comments?
I'm excited for this one as well, so thank you.
Agreed. Fire Commissioner Mitchell?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, how about public comment? Not seeing any. Fire Commissioner Mitchell, you prepared to make a motion?
Yeah, I, Fire Commissioner Mitchell, move to approve the promotion of 3 additional fire captains, resulting in the creation of 3 firefighter, paramedic, or firefighter AEMT vacancies, which will be backfilled to bring Fire Station 74 in Lockwood to minimum 3-person staffing.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. On to item number 21, this is discussion for possible action. Consideration and possible approval of resolution number 25-766, a resolution setting grade and salary range of employees fixed by ordinance or resolution per NRS 474.470 for appointed Storey County Fire Protection District officials for the fiscal year 24 through 25, and superseding prior year action by resolution for appointed Storey County Fire District employees with grade adjustments for the Fuels Management Officer. Chief?
Yes. This is kind of not necessarily an oversight. This is just a position we've been looking at for some time. As you know, we've went through great extent to get everybody lined out exactly where they need to be. We really were looking after this Fuels Management Officer, and he was the last one that we really needed to address. This position and the person who fills this position in their current capacities is regionally working at like a deputy chief or an assistant chief level. I mean, he is very involved with the community. He does a lot of grant work, and knowing that, we felt it was most appropriate to kind of align him with a battalion chief. So that's why we kind of presented today to put him on a battalion chief pay grade, which is at 148, We are waiting for PERS to finalize the last name change. We don't want to mess with somebody's retirement. So all we're asking for now is just to bump him up to that pay grade, and we'll work with PERS to get that title changed of just battalion chief. But none of the duties will change, and we feel this is very appropriate for this individual. And I'll tell you what, they have nailed down just so much money in grants that have done so much good for especially the residents in the Highlands, that this is well needed and well deserved. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Chief. Fire Commissioner Gilman, do you have any questions or comments about this item?
None, thank you.
Fire Commissioner Mitchell, do you have any questions, comments? All right. Is there any public comments? Not seeing any?
Have them read the title onto the record on the resolution.
Sure. Jeremy, you mind reading the, Chief, you mind reading the title on the record?
Absolutely. And I do have, prior to making a motion, I do have some, just a modification that I would like to propose, Commissioner Mitchell, just because I know you generally put them out there. If we can make this on April 21st, the effective date. I know that when we originally put it out there, we missed a deadline, weren't able to get it on the agenda. However, on April 21st, that aligns with the pay cycle. So that just makes it easy on staff as well.
Thank you. I'm seeing that in the packet, so.
Yeah. So just the title of the resolution would, and I hope I don't get this wrong and give you everything you need, DA Linger, but a resolution setting salaries of employees fixed by ordinance or resolution per NRS 474.470 for appointed officials.
Yeah, the title.
Perfect.
Very good. I, Fire Commissioner Mitchell, move to approve resolution number 25-766, a resolution setting grade and salary range of employees fixed by ordinance or resolution per NRS 474.470 for appointed Storey County Fire Protection District officials for the 2024-25 fiscal year and superseding prior year action by resolution for appointed Storey County Fire District employees with grade adjustments for the Fuels Management Officer to be effective April 21st, 2025.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. On to item number 22, this is discussion for possible action. Consideration and possible approval of revisions to policy P503A, non-represented employee compensation, replacing strike team leader with a more stringent National Fire Academy Managing Officer certification. Chief?
Yes, Board. I promise you're almost to be done with me very soon here. However, this is still just part of our ongoing process to just continually raise the bar for some of our folks. And it isn't to raise it to where it's absolutely unattainable. It's to continue to have something for our staff to strive toward. Right now, the battalion chiefs receive a strike team leader incentive. That was one that was in the original policy that was left there for a little bit while we can weigh things out, but it was also part of the job duties. So I don't think that it can be a job duty and an incentive at the same time. So we want to correct that. The most applicable thing to replace that with is a managing officer certification is provided by the National Fire Academy. And that would have our staff go back to Emmitsburg, Maryland a couple of times. They have some great networking, great classes, and once they're done with the program, they will get a managing officer certification. So this is a great step for our staff, and again, don't put that bar so far out of reach, but there to make them continually work and strive and educate themselves. So I'll answer any questions you may have on that.
Fire Commissioner Gilman, do you have any questions or comments?
None, thank you.
Fire Commissioner Mitchell?
I'm good, thank you.
How about public comment? Not seeing any. Fire Commissioner Mitchell, care to entertain a motion?
I, Fire Commissioner Mitchell, move to approve policy P503A, non-represented employee compensation.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. On to item number 23, this discussion for possible action, consideration and possible approval of the purchase of an unbudgeted training tower for the approximate amount of $35,000 from North Lake Tahoe Fire Protection District. Chief?
Yes, Chairman Longcar again for the record. So as Comptroller McCain alluded to earlier in the tentative budget, we did have I believe 100,000, somewhere right in there, for the purchase of a training tower. Through an arm wrestling competition and everything else with another regional fire chief, he cut us a deal and he will sell us theirs for $35,000. So significant savings to the fire district. I will work with Comptroller McCain to keep just a little money in there because it's red and we know that things up here must be blue. So it will be painted. However, we can take pretty much immediate possession of this, and we're buying it from an organization who has always provided to us free of charge. We use it a lot. Many of you have probably seen it down there by the train depot. We're very familiar with the equipment. We're very comfortable with it, and it's really just a good deal for the fire district. So with your approval, I'd like to go ahead and get that now, strike while that iron's hot, and before he changes his mind.
Thank you, Chief. Fire Commissioner Gilman, questions?
None, thank you.
All right, Fire Commissioner Mitchell?
I don't know about a red tower, but.
It won't be red for too long.
Okay.
Public comment? All right, not seeing any. Fire Commissioner Mitchell, would you care to entertain a motion?
I, Fire Commissioner Mitchell, move to approve the purchase of an unbudgeted training tower for the approximate amount of $35,000 from North Lake Tahoe Fire Protection District.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Appreciate it. Got a lot knocked out there. On item number 24 is to recess and convene as the Storey County Liquor Licensing Board, bringing us to item number 25. This will be for discussion for possible action, consideration and possible approval, welcome Sheriff, of the first reading of the off-sale, on-sale liquor license. Applicant is Leslie Ann Lutz, Crazy Calamities, 420 South B Street, Virginia City, Nevada.
Good morning.
Morning.
Deputy Frank Valdez for the record. After conducting an intensive background investigation on the applicant, I found no disqualifiers. She has been a business owner in good standing since 2023, well respected in the community. No further information unless there are any questions.
Great. Thank you, Deputy Valdez. Commissioner Gilman, questions, comments?
No, thank you.
All right, Vice Chairman?
No, thank you.
Sheriff?
Nothing, thanks.
Okay, how about public comment? Not seeing any. Vice Chairman, you prepared to entertain a motion?
I am. I just remembered that I think we have a slightly different code for off C Street. Do we have to have some sort of a finding about not creating a nuisance? Remember the winery that we discussed a year or two ago? I mean, I'll go ahead and make the motion, but maybe we should research that before the second, just to make sure we meet all the right criteria.
Please, as far as on B Street, the extra in the ordinance to see if it is a nuisance, so that will be legally looked at before the second.
Thank you very much. I, Commissioner Mitchell, move to approve the first reading for off-sale, on-sale liquor license. Applicant is Leslie Ann Lutz, Crazy Calamities, 420 South B Street, Virginia City, Nevada.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously.
Commissioners.
Thank you, Deputy. All right, moving on to item number 26 is to recess, convene as the Storey County Board of County Commissioners. Bringing us to item number 27, which is discussion for possible action. Consideration and possible approval for a change request for the Lockwood Senior Center to procure a main service panel from an alternate supplier with an increase in cost of $35,524.84 and authorize the county manager to sign the change request. This procurement will keep the project on schedule for anticipated completion date of September 4th, 2025. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike Northen, Operations and Projects. The original supplier of this switchgear has a projected delivery date of mid-September. The scheduled install date should be around mid-May, so this produces what would be a minimum 4-month delay in this install, potentially closer to 6 months, as this is going to prevent the startup, commissioning, and testing of all the electrical equipment in the building until the main service board is installed. Staff considered a number of factors, including significant costs associated with the project delay, and we recommend this expedited procurement to keep the project on schedule. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Commissioner Gilman, any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Vice Chairman?
No, thank you.
Is there any public comment? Not seeing any. Vice Chairman, you prepared to make a motion?
Yeah, I, Commissioner Mitchell, move to approve the change request CR 14 for the Lockwood Senior Center to procure a main service panel from an alternate supplier with an increase in cost of $35,524.84, and to authorize the county manager to sign the change request. This procurement will keep the project on schedule for an anticipated completion date of September 4th, 2025.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Moving on to item number 28. This is discussion for possible action. Consideration and possible approval of an interlocal agreement between Storey County and the Nevada Secretary of State setting the terms, conditions, and annual fees for Storey County's use of the newly developed and implemented voter registration, and election management system.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, Jim Hindle, Clerk and Treasurer. This is an interlocal agreement for our new voter registration election management system, the total vote system that we implemented over the last ongoing 3 years now, and still going. The most important part of this is that it's already implemented. It worked. It ran our election in 2024, and this is now the Secretary of State codifying the agreement of the cost of this new system and how to share it across the counties. So we are portioned, as you see in the attachment, an amount or a percentage of the annual cost to the Secretary of State for the licensing and maintenance of this system. And the cost as it's apportioned to us is based on the number of registered voters we have as a percentage of the total number of registered voters in each county across the state. It does not account for Clark County. At this time, Clark County has a separate arrangement with the Secretary of State and with the supplier, No Inc. The most significant opportunity here is that it does reduce our annual cost for our voter registration election management system by approximately $2,000 on an annual basis. However, given that the new agreement is now set by our registered voter percentage, that has the ability to move if our registered voters increase at a faster rate than other counties' registered voters. So this could be a variable cost as we go forward. However, with the significant savings, I don't see that we will incur a larger expense than what we had been paying for the old VoteTech system for many years to come.
Thank you, Jim. I assume the massive purge of the voter rolls that they advertised today impacted that.
It'll impact that. Again, all counties are going through the same exercise, and so the amount of reduction we have, I don't think will change where we sit as we go forward. But this is what's set for the next budget year, for the 25-26 budget year.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Gilman, do you have any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Vice Chairman? Public comment? Not seeing any. Vice Chairman, you prepared to make the motion?
Yeah, I, Commissioner Mitchell, move to approve the county clerk and treasurer to sign the interlocal contract with the Nevada Secretary of State for use of the new VREM system at a cost not to exceed $4,692.07 in the 2025-26 fiscal year.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Well, I think people took bets that we would not be done before 11 because we have to take a 10-minute recess. We were almost there. See you back here in about 10 minutes.
What's the break at 11? Unbelievable.
Just remember that the YouTube is still streaming.
Oh.
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
You guys are making sure I'm in a perfect mood for union bargaining.
I see Austin up there, I'm like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I can't wait to know what he's gonna say. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, you like that? Oh, yeah.
Bills, the legislation.
That's terrible with the vent though, because if you move that. Yeah. How old is that car? 3 years? But that's yeah. 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 Yeah, that is that thing, well, what destroys engines? You know, like the old cars? Yeah. Boy, so is it an expensive? So where is it? Well, the extended warranty, I think the extended warranty is 100,000 or 10 years. Oh, I would think a fan belt would be covered. No, seriously. Well, no, I mean, that seems like that would be something. That's not. No, that's what I'm saying. Did somebody say that wouldn't be covered? My dad doesn't. Oh. He's such a
It's three.
There are three. Wow.
They're trying to kick him out of the building. They're trying to move him out to take space.
Boy, I don't know. We did that so many times.
I tried to talk to where the secretary used to be at
I'm good, how are you? Good. So Laura and I are working on submitting those federal appropriation requests, and the board group let us know that we need to get letters of support for those. So if you can when I send these letters of support, get those uploaded to the senators and the congressmen?
Oh, sure. You want me to sign them and then upload them?
Or no, you can just sign them and give them back to me, and I'll put them in the recorder group, and then they'll upload. It's like, but yeah, I just need your signature. It's just for those 5 projects that you guys have already approved at whatever meeting that was.
Okay, you got it.
Great, thank you.
Point me to where you need the ink.
It's just 5. Same spot.
I know.
Thank you for doing that.
Wow.
You ready? Commissioner Gilman, you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm waiting on you guys.
Awesome. I'm just working my way. That was a subtle invite for Clay to join us. I know. Gotta be able to bust somebody's chops, right?
Yes.
All right. It's 11:17. It's 11:17. We're going to reconvene the meeting. Thank you for that. On to item number 29, which is discussion for possible action. Update, discussion, and provide direction to county staff and lobbyists regarding upcoming bills and legislation affecting Storey County, including but never limited to the following: SB 69, SB 78, AB 77, AB 32, bill supported by the Nevada Association of Counties, bill proposed by the governor and legislative leadership since the last board meeting, and bills shown in attached spreadsheet showing the past and current possible positions. You had a lot of breakfast that morning, didn't you?
All
Ready
right.
to go.
Thank you,
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Chairman. Austin Osborne for the record, County Manager. Also with me is Will Adler from SSGR, and Helen Foley from Helen Foley and Associates. She is with, or Helen Foley Public Affairs. They are with us as our principal lobbyists on various matters. So we're taking a little different approach this time, a little bit of organization. We prepared for all of the bills to be in front of you in a little bit of a graph. And you can see all of the action that this board has given staff and our lobbyists since the beginning of the legislative session. SB 69, of course, is included in there. And it shows the position that this board has taken, as well as the position that NACO, Nevada Association of Counties, has taken. NACO has not really taken a position on all bills, so if you see it blank, that's why. And of course, a little summary of what the bills are. So we know that you had a chance to take a look at this graph, and we can certainly talk about any of these bills today. If this board would like to just continue providing the same direction to staff and lobbyists as has, then this graph would apply as you see it, and then any adjustments you make, of course, would be the case. I also want to provide Will and Helen an opportunity maybe to talk a little bit about other legislative matters that maybe they're experiencing down in the building in Carson City that may be added to this chart as necessary. So before I give a very short, brief discussion of SB 69, I ask if you have any questions about any other bills in this matrix.
Thank you for that, Austin. I must say that this new setup, I personally appreciate very much, so thank you for that. Commissioner Gilman, do you have any questions or comments?
None, thank you.
Vice Chairman?
No, I think I'm all right. And I would just maybe ask, does it make sense going forward if just to leave these in place? As we know, there's no bill is really dead till it's really dead. And so with the chance that maybe some that did not meet deadlines come back, maybe we just leave them on here just in case when we have taken a position on something.
Absolutely. And if you like, Mr. Chairman, I'll give a very brief kind of an overview of SB 69. I do believe Helen and Will also have some things they'd like to share and discuss that a little bit more in depth. If you want, I'll just go ahead and kick it off. At that point, give a little bit of where we are. Senate Bill 69R bill got a work session last Thursday, and it passed the work session. It was a split vote. Neal, who's the chair, Dunyate, who's the vice chair, and Cruz Crawford did approve it, and Stone and Steinbeck did not. If I understand right, there was a caveat to that they may change a position on the floor, so it's not completely, opposition necessarily, but nevertheless, a majority of the committee approved it. As amended, of course, we did present with a government services agreement mandatory if the county would tell GoEd it needs it, would be at 10% and 20% respective to the $1 billion and the $3.5 billion abatements. The retroactive period of abatement can only go back to the fiscal year in which that contract was approved by GoEd, so there was a good compromise between the parties on that. We removed data centers entirely. I thank Jana and others on our team for really working administratively to come up with some resolution to that. And we removed sections 4 and 8 for stuff that really didn't apply to us. So it was noted by Chair Neal. She said that Storey County really went over and beyond to try to bridge gaps between different parties in building this bill and getting it amended to be a amenable bill on the floor. At this point, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Adler. He may want to elaborate a little bit on this, and then Ms. Foley as well. Thank you.
Yeah, we can elaborate on a few bills, but Will Adler, for the record, with Silver State Government Relations, here representing Storey County. This year has actually been, as Manager Osborne did allude, a bit of a back and forth and a lot of work to actually get SB 69 to the place we did, but I would say the kudos given by the chair of the committee, Senator Dina Neal, really spoke to the efforts we put forth, and she really wanted to put it on the record for us that this bill didn't come to the state it was in through some magic, but actually through the hard work of Storey County taking the lead and not taking the nose from the plentiful opposition that GoEd helped provide. But I do think the bill's in a good place. I've had a couple of post meetings with Senate Republicans and the Democrats, and I do know that Senator Canizaro and others appreciate the effort we put forward, and they're looking forward to actually having a good floor vote. Just process-wise and sort of put people's minds together on it, we put together a conceptual amendment that laid out all of our priorities for the committee hearing, but LCB, or the Legislative Council Bureau of the Nevada Legislature, does have to rework that into a final work session, post-work session amendment that will be the introduced amendment for the floor vote. So I think that'll take a little while. Our bill is one of the more complex bills, but two of the less complex bills that I'm also working on did just come out today, this morning, from those drafters. So I think maybe by the end of the week, we'll actually have that document in hand and be able to say this is the firm and final, bill post amending. I'm not sure if.
Thank you. Helen Foley with Foley Public Affairs, for the record. I have to say that Storey County, certainly Will and Austin, and you as members of the commission have done an extraordinary job on this bill. There was a lot of opposition to begin with. You took a look at what you really needed. We took out the data centers. We took out areas where there was confusion over state funding and state accountability, where we didn't need to participate. But there is such a difference between Clark and Washoe counties and the rural areas, especially when you have projects that are $1 billion and $3.5 billion. Let's remove ourselves from the discussion for a moment and think about what would happen to a small county like Esmeralda County if, with lithium, all of a sudden they had a $3.5 billion project. How on earth would they ever be able to afford to do the things that have to be done for infrastructure, for fire safety, for police protection? We were very fortunate in Storey County that we had the TRI Gilman and Norman setting where they could help you out. But when you have to lose funding for 15 years for your tax abatements on property, or 10 years, and then another 20, for the sales tax, it's almost impossible. So I think a lot of people realize that this bill is extremely reasonable. When you have a clerk in a Washoe County, you also have planning commissions that can impose standards on new projects. But with the small counties, you end up in a real bind. So I think the media attention on this, the legislators that we've talked to, it's going extremely well. And I think that we will continue to work with Republican lawmakers so that we don't have the division of parties on this bill, because we certainly want the governor's signature on this, but we also want buy-in by those Republican lawmakers.
Thank you, Helen.
Mr. Chairman, can I get up on my soapbox for a minute?
Please.
I just wanted to mention something that's come to mind about this bill. You know, a lot of people are looking at it as a defensive bill or a change to keep harm from happening. But I want to highlight that where we've landed with this bill actually creates better policy, because putting the discussion about what a local jurisdiction is going to ask for in offsets early in the process provides better predictability for a company that's applying for abatements. And that's actually a better way of doing business, because if that has to wait till after they have contractually agreed to the abatement contract, they don't know what they're going to be asked for. So not only do we put it earlier in the process so that it's running concurrent with GoEd doing their work, but also we have proposed to cap that amount so they're given some predictability on how much, and gave guardrails about what specific areas could be negotiated. And they will be negotiating fully in that whole process. So this is actually an improvement on the way the current process works. And it makes me wonder if the fact that this is how we have done things and the fact that it's not the way that other jurisdictions have done things is the reason why these large projects have only landed in our jurisdiction. Anyway, I'll get down off my soapbox.
All good, thank you.
Will Adler with Silver State Government Relations. But yeah, to comment on Commissioner Mitchell's comments there, you know, bad ideas kind of mumble along through the legislature, but true expertise kind of sing, right? And I do think you guys are showing your expertise in the abatement programs and what it means to actually deal with these larger companies on the ground, as no other place in Nevada has actually done this before. And I'm not going to speak out of turn, but I would say that our expertise were greater than even the state agencies like GoEd and others when it came to the real impacts and the real trigger mechanisms that are in place. So I'm really proud of what we did on our abatement, just because we didn't overdo it and we didn't remake the wheel. We actually took the same mechanisms, enhanced those, and made a better piece of public policy around the abatement program and how it interacts with all local governments. Pretty proud to say that. So hopefully, yes, like you said, that will be seen by the governor and his team, and we've already gotten some good notes back. So I think that SB 69, in spite sort of the split vote at the committee level, will do pretty well from here. But once we have that final amendment, I'll get it to everybody. Another bill that we're very frequently speaking about is SB 116, the county pay bill. That bill is in much the same state. It actually got its final conceptual amendment at the work session. That is a pay bill, so it is very mechanistically difficult to write. So actually, I did hear from the sponsor of the bill, Skip Daly, today, and he said that is due from drafting sometime this week. He thinks about Thursday, but he thinks most of the mechanisms that are there and the bones of the bill will be the same. And that looks great going towards the floor. Another bill that we had some interest in was SB 78, the board consolidation bill that was amended and due passed out of its work session. I do think the amendment has some play in it still, and I do know we had some interest in that, but we also have some in-county conversations around our own district that of note there. Another bill that's sort of adjacent to that and rail related is SB 364, was the rail spur GoEd abatement bill, which sort of says you can dedicate funds towards the development of a rail spur, but you can also get an abatement for those funds dedicated, similar to like a Tesla program. That bill too had a lot of back and forth on it, but it did have an amended due pass from Senate Revenue. The amendment did limit the particular rail property abatements to 1 foot in each direction of the rail track. So it kind of puts some parameters on what could be abated, and it's mechanistically, again, kind of hard to explain, but there's some ability to see more rail developed for industrial use in Nevada, and that's kind of the goal here, but we're watching that pretty closely. Another one in the same kind of lane is AB 256, which is the rail study. And it passed amended out of committee with Clark and Washoe counties as the focus for ongoing regional rail development. So I think it's more about commuter rail and or transportation rather than big manufacturing based rail. The other bill that we had a lot of interest in was AB 128, which was the Public Records Ombudsman Bill. That did pass amended out of committee, but the amendment did delete the creation of the Public Records Ombudsman, and it sort of neutered the bill down to making a study about public records. So we're going to study what is or isn't the Attorney General's place around public records. So that bill seems to be reduced to a point of less offense. AB 66 is the district judge bill. It was amended and due passed from the Assembly Judiciary. Again, it makes various changes around district court judges and additional judge for the first district, Storey and Carson City are in there as well. So another note, though, it is still waiting for the governor's economic development bill to come out, just because some of that is in flux. But we don't know what is in the governor's economic development bill. It's immune from deadlines, so we haven't even seen the language to some of these bills. But that was sort of our tracking list and the ones that we know got through, but we were interested in. And then we have a good list of bills that did not make it. That, as Austin Osborne declared, we see some language in those that we want to keep track of, because other bills that are opening the same NRS or Nevada revised statute can be amended to have that same language dropped into it in several cases. So some bad bills we are keeping our eyes on, even though they're dead, they might reinvigorate themselves in a zombie-like form in a new bill. So we'll keep on that from here on out.
Helen Foley for the record. Now that Will has discussed everything I was going to talk about, I've always got a couple of more things. A few of the bills that died, AB 33, which created a Nevada Office of Inspector General. And then you remember when the mayor of Sparks wanted a toll road demonstration project, AB 61. That failed to meet the deadline. There was another one, Assembly Bill 173, which requires judicial candidates to list political party on financial disclosures. There was AB 180, a multi-jurisdictional business license for sidewalk vendors. That could affect Virginia City. And then Senate Bill 51, which reimburses local governments for subsidized affordable housing. One of the bills that did pass that we'll continue to take a close look at is AB 355, which is a rural school district capital improvements fund. So if there are funds available, they do not have to revert back to the general fund at the end of a year. And that was amended and due pass. So we'll carefully watch that. And of course, the infamous V&T Railway is still alive and will probably pass. I'm not sure what that eventual outcome will be, but it's been a bit problematic. Watching that Senate Bill 78, which is the Boards and Commission Bill, it was discussed in some form 16 times in different committees during the session. It's a 92-page bill. And so there's an awful lot in there. We think sometimes we're safe, and then you look and think, oh, let's see what kinds of amendments have been added to that. So that's one that we'll carefully watch between now and the end of the session.
Commissioners, one last point I want to make, Austin Osborne for the record, on SB 78. We know that so far that bill is no longer applying to the Comstock Historic District per our concerns of earlier. Mr. Adler did allude to that. We're having conversations with the state about possible resolutions to the Comstock Historic District in the future. Those conversations are still going on between us, Lyon County, as well as DCNR and other state agencies. We think it's a potential that item could be resolved and actually potential transfer if the boards and folks all are able to agree to it sometime during the interim session. Those sorts of things are being looked at right now. So I want to give you an update on that. That's, I believe, at this time what we have.
Okay. Any commissioners?
I think, Mr. Chairman, Clerk Treasurer Hindle would like to come up.
Please.
Jim Hindle, Clerk and Treasurer. a couple more just to put on your radar. You're probably thinking about them, but the first one is AJR1, which is the property tax reset bill. That made it out of committee, correct? And if I'm following. The issue there is that it will change, and it poses, because of what it's going to do in terms of creating classes of property tax caps and abatements, and the periods at which something can be capped and the period at which it can't be capped, it has significant challenges to our current property tax system. The DevNet system is not able to track that at this time. And I believe GSA has a similar issue talking to other counties. So as this progresses through, we as treasurers within the counties are highlighting to the legislature that this poses some significant challenges for us to manage if it does go through. And it can't be something that comes effective July 1 or even probably July 1 of 26 because of the system challenges and the overall procedural issues we have in managing that. The other ones that I wanted to highlight are, in particular, 3 election bills that came up last Tuesday for their hearing, and then the work session was last Friday. The first one is AB 491. In that, it for the most part, it deals with filing and residency requirements for candidates. But in section 1 was a very nice little section, a nice little clause that made it so that county clerks must reply to the Secretary of State for any requests for election information within 48 hours. That's 48 clock hours, not 2 business days, etc. The clerks have multiple reasons to be concerned with this. But first and foremost is because we generally get multiple requests from the Secretary of State's office, concurrent, and all those have to now be 48 hours. It has significant impact on our ability to run elections if we're trying to address their questions versus running the election at the same time. The other thing that this, and I'll make this a little more of an insidious issue, is that in SB 100, the Secretary of State and the AG have laid out, and I know this was amended slightly, but basically if a county clerk does not respond within deadline, they can remove them. So now you've got a deadline that is somewhat innocuous to what goes on to run an election, 48 hours, clock hours, and if we aren't responsive to what the Secretary of State wants, they can go forward with penalties, and it becomes jail time for the county clerk. And I think that still made it through in SB 100. So we have grave concerns with AB 491. The other one to highlight is AB 496, which has to do with mail ballots and tracking and reporting. The county clerks have big concern, and we've gone on record with a letter on the bills that I'm going to highlight here. But they expect us to contact the United States Post Office to daily report the mail ballots in possession of the post office. And my editorial comment was that this was made by somebody who has no operation in elections, that said that this is a no-brainer. You can contact the post office. That, among other things, in terms of our daily reporting of mail ballot status, provisional ballot status, ballot cure status, and the requirement that we need to post this on our website, have big implications on activity within the clerk's office during an election. And then the last one I'm going to highlight for you, we have a couple more, but the last one I'm going to highlight for you that we, as county clerks, developed a letter and put it into the Legislative Operations Committee, and we're going to do it again now that these bills have passed out. And when they go to the Senate floor is AB 499. And this ostensibly had to do with adding steps to allow voters to put personal identifying information, the wording said, on their ballot, which would be illegal because you can't identify a ballot to a specific voter. You can only identify the envelope coming back in to a voter. But it requires us to implement new barcode tracking having ballots printed in a way that we kind of do already, but the information they want. But again, more importantly, they require every county clerk to establish a voter service portal that would allow a person to go in and look at their specific, on our website, their specific voter registration information. And part of that voter registration information is going to be the full identifying height, weight, eye color, et cetera, that the DMV puts on a driver's license. And we are now expected to update our voter registration system for all voters based on the DMV personal identifying characteristics, some of which really have no impact on tracking a voter and getting their mail ballot processed. And so those are really increasing, the communication we say, it's increasing burden on the county clerks at a time when it's already busy, resources are already tight, our budgets are already tight, and they're putting more activity during the election cycle. And then when you go back to AB 491, and these things have a specific deadline, it's kind of creating an adversarial relationship between the county clerks and the Secretary of State. So we are tracking those. We are, as a association, the clerks and election officials, trying to meet and talk to as many people. But if you keep your eyes on those and hear something and can help us out, we would appreciate that, because it's really kind of putting clerks in an untenable situation during the election cycle. Sorry, I was long on that.
Yeah.
That's all right. May I ask, Clerk Hindle, would it be helpful, separate from what the Clerks Association is doing, I mean, would it be helpful for us to take an official position opposing some of these bills? I think that it makes sense to do so, if my fellow commissioners feel that that's appropriate, just to register our feeling that this would put an undue burden on county operations.
That would certainly help us going forward, and as well as provide direction to you if it comes up in other discussions, to provide Will and Helen, as well as yourselves, the ability to respond with confidence that you're not talking with unofficial approval.
Yeah, great. And so I would propose that we look at least AB 491, which has to do with the election filing requirements and notification requests of the clerk, as well as AB 496, which is, if I remember correctly, is unreasonable expectation to get post office updates. And then I don't know if we want to add SB 100 in there, but that we take.
I would ask you to add SB 100 in there in terms of the. I am questioning, and we really don't want to test it, but whether the AG and the Secretary of State can remove a duly elected individual from office and actually remove them, not just take the duties away, but remove them from office. But that's what's being proposed in SB 100.
To me, these feel like overreach and placing a burden on us, and so I would propose that we take a position in opposition with these bills, and then ask our team to monitor, and certainly if things are amended and changed, we can revisit that.
And I can propose, I will forward to the commissioners, as well as the two of you, Austin, and the letter we submitted to the committee, that we didn't really say we were against these bills, but we proposed amendments that would make them more effective and more amenable to the clerks to be able to manage.
Sure, and I think that's the appropriate stance for the clerks to take. I think from our position, we may not have that luxury, because if we don't agree with the bill as written, then we're in a position of opposition, and so we're not subject matter experts to propose a better solution for those. And so to me, it feels like the right solution is for those three, which would be AB 491, SB 100, and AB 496, to take a position in opposition. And so I don't know if that's okay with my other commissioners. If so, I think we can put that on the record, so when we get to the time, if we are, I don't want to speak out of turn, but if we're united in that, then I think that's direction that we could give. in addition to that, I was wondering about both AJR 1, which is the reset on sale, and AB 499, which is asking for identifying info, which ironically sounds a lot like info that you'd see on a driver's license if you were checking IDs as people are voting. But I'm wondering if there's a way to quantify the additional burden into a fiscal note, because I think that would be a helpful way to respond that would show the impact of the proposed policy change.
And I think there are fiscal notes on the bill related to that bill. I'll go back and review those, but there was fiscal impact that was communicated to the committee.
Okay. Yeah.
But to my understanding, there's no appropriation linked to these bills whatsoever, even with those fiscal impacts in the counties.
Right. So, you know, we have been asked in several different quarters to be more active in providing fiscal notes specific to us.
Right.
I know sometimes it's hard to quantify, but if we can get somewhere in the ballpark that's reasonable and submit a fiscal note specific to us, I think that would be helpful. If not, totally understandable. But I think to me that would feel like a good way to show the potential impact, because we don't have systems in place currently that can handle those, and because it'd be an unfunded mandate to upgrade our systems to provide those things, if there's a way that we can at least get some sort of ballpark and submit it.
I'll just add that all three of these bills are Speaker Yeager's, as he is the primary sponsor. So as politically sensitive to other things that will be going through the Assembly, manage that as appropriate.
Sure. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, Will Adler for the record. I do fully agree with the ideas from Commissioner Mitchell to actually quantify some of the impacts from these bills, and then put out the word to NACO to do much the same, because I do think collectively counties showing the unfundedness of these bills really does demonstrate what the cost would be. And again, you're not trying to offend the idea or the sponsor of a bill, but you have to show the cost and what the cost will be to the county, and that's really the best way to sort of document and oppose these things, because you aren't able to cover the cost of them. Just briefly on AJR 1, sort of the property tax, bill coming to the legislature this year. AJR is Assembly Joint Resolution. So just to explain that briefly, the resolution has to pass the legislature this time around, come through again. It can get briefly amended a little, but really the same language intact has to be passed again at the next legislature. So 2017 legislature, or 2027 legislature has to pass the same language, and then it would have to go to the voters in 2028, and it would have to pass there again. So it's good to get our comments in now, but this language isn't going to, take a trigger immediately, and we should sort of be able to eye in the impacts. But it'd probably be good to have a study around what is the value of property taxes and changing those, what the impacts would be. So just explain that a little. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. That was a little emotional.
I don't have anything else, Mr. Chairman. Austin Osborne for the record. I can help navigate you through the motion if you like.
I'll let you work with Vice Chairman. Commissioner Gilman, do you have any other questions?
I don't, thank you.
Vice Chairman, anything?
I had just two others, and this is kind of coming back around to ones that we've already discussed, but one is on AB 32, which is the V&T Railway Study Bill. I believe we did take an official position supporting. That's not reflected on the matrix, and so I just wanted to make sure we have those aligned. To provide just a little more context, that bill did pass out of its initial committee. There was a fiscal note on it, but it was impossible to determine what the fiscal impact might be. There was some concerns expressed that there is a limited amount of resources available for interim studies, and that there was some hesitation as a result, and so there were some questions raised in the Money Committee about, wasn't this brought to the last interim? Didn't we deal with this before this session? And that I was supporting in that presentation caught me a little flat-footed, because I barely remember anything before this session frankly, but that was an informational presentation that Carson City and me in my role as a railway commissioner made about the Railway Commission, and some policy ideas were presented, but there was no guidance given or no feedback given from the legislature. And so there's some further work to be done. It is Carson City's bill, so they're running lead on that, talking with those who expressed some concerns about it going ahead. And so that's kind of where things stand. I have supported them in what I feel is an appropriate way, meaning not taking the lead on it because it is their bill, but given that we are kind of the other local jurisdiction involved in that, and my assignment to the Railway Commission, I've been involved from that perspective in kind of a supporting role. And if it's all right, we'll continue to do so, just because that, if I'm not there, the first question that always comes up is, what does Storey County think about this? And so that allows us to have a seat at the table and to highlight where there are differences between kind of how we see things and how Carson City sees things. And there are a few things that are slightly different there. So that's the one. The other one is, Will, you mentioned that there was potentially an amendment with SB 364, which has to do with rail, abatements for rail projects. I have some concerns as far as the way that bill is structured. I'm wondering if that abatement is, that amendment is something that makes us feel a little more comfortable, or if it would be appropriate for us to move to an opposition as written, pending further amendment to that bill.
Will Adler, for the record. I do think that bill has become more palatable with the amendment, but I think it's off to the fiscal committees now. I think it's headed to the, some bills go directly from their first policy committee. They get work sessioned and out the door to the floor vote, and that's what we're doing with SB 69. But this one actually has such fiscal impacts. I think it's headed to Ways and Means, I do believe. So I do think that's maybe where that bill comes to the real, policy meets money sort of decision there. And is this actually a good fiscal use of Nevada tax dollars to make these abatements happen? I think that conversation's to come. So I think, there's times to lead into opposition, but I'll give the bill its due and actually write up a new assessment of it after the amendment, because I only gave it a brief review, if that's fair. And then, I think it's fair to cautiously say we could file an opposition opinion as needed on this one, but we'll determine if that's fully needed. I'll give it a full reassessment.
Great. If my fellow commissioners are okay with that, I think that sounds to me like an appropriate course to take. Maybe soft opposition, not leading the charge on opposing, but expressing concern for sure.
That works.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't.
Is there any public comment? All right, not seeing any public comment. Are you prepared to make a motion, Vice Chairman?
I think so. County Manager Osborne, do you want to summarize, or are you feeling good about what was discussed?
I think taking the existing motion and incorporating all discussions herewith might be sufficient.
Okay. I, Commissioner Mitchell, move to direct county staff and lobbyists to represent Storey County on known BDRs, bills, and other potential legislation affecting Storey County as discussed on the record during our meeting today.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Will. Austin.
Thank you both.
All right, moving on to item number 30, discussion for possible action. Second reading of business licenses A through R. Commissioner Gilman, do you have any questions on the second readings?
None, thank you.
Vice Chairman?
No, thank you.
Is there any public comment regarding the second readings? Not seeing any. Vice Chairman, you prepared to make a motion?
Move to approve the second reading of business licenses listed under item 30 as A through R.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Excuse me. On to item number 31. This is public comment. The second final time public comment will be taken in this meeting. Is there any public comment today? Not seeing any, we're going to move right along to item number 32, which is adjournment of all active and recessed boards on the agenda. It is 11:55. This meeting is adjourned. We'll see you all in May. And we do have closed sessions, so I ask that you vacate the courtroom at your earliest convenience.